The following material may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Broadcasting live from the cultural void of Independence, Ohio. Phone number here, 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code. Open phones this evening. Open phones. Seldom do I sit around, watch the news, come into work and go, harumph. There's nothing so pressing that we have to hit it.
The Rick Gilmour Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
Which in a way can be pleasurable. Open phones can be a good thing. I mean, you can talk about Iraq. Well, what's to say? More people killed in Iraq today. I've been saying that for a long, long time. The whole idea, the reasoning, the wrong-headedness of us going over there. But, what do I know? You know something that bothered me? I was talking with Paul Retto on the break, and I says, have you noticed how bad Cleveland drivers are? I've noticed this over the past few days. Have you noticed whenever there's any kind of a merge, like when I take 71 to 480, and there are people that have to move over. I'm doing 65. And there are people that have to move over. They must move over into my lane. But they have nowhere to go. It's not as if they're moving over to get off in an exit. They just have to move over to get in front of me. Why is that? Do we have different rules for driving here in Cleveland than they have other places? Paul says him and Trevisano drove back from Philadelphia. He says they did not feel compelled to cuss at anyone until they got to 271. Is that a reflection on Cleveland? Is that a reflection on Cleveland drivers? I've driven all over the country. There are two places that have incredibly bad drivers. One is Cleveland, Ohio. Maybe you've driven more places than I have, and you could tell me. One is Cleveland, Ohio, and the other one is Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Florida, in general, is filled with Floridians. But Fort Lauderdale has got to be the worst. There are people going so fast, and they're going nowhere. What's your rush? So open phones this evening. Perhaps later I will read for you driving rules in Cleveland. They're perhaps different than they are in other places in the country. That's bad. It's bad. I was driving along, and it was last night, 2 nights ago. I see a semi-truck swerve wildly. There's some old person going down the highway at, I swear to you, 10 miles an hour. What the hell is wrong with them? 10 miles an hour? Where's the cops when you need them? Toll free 888-723-WTAM. Hell, I'm not giving up. I'll open up the contest lines too. 578-1111. All the other lines are filled. I don't have anything to give you but the adulation of your host. Any direction you'd like to go tonight. But boy, just something that peeved me over the past couple of days. Nothing bothers me more than somebody that has to change lanes to get in front of you, but they're not going anywhere. And they're going more slowly than you are. Why do you do that? Do you feel compelled that you will not drive behind me? Does my car smell? It doesn't burn oil. It's an attractive vehicle. There's nothing hanging off of it. Why do you have to go around me? And then get in front of me and slow down? Or why is it that, maybe it's the merge thing. People just feel compelled. Oh, there's a merge up here. Maybe I need to move over. There's people merging in, so I need to merge too. What the hell are you merging for? Eddie, you're on the air.
Hey, Rick Gilmour.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan. I drive for a living, and I'll tell you exactly what you said there. Once you get back into Cleveland, I'm going out to points south, east, west, or wherever. It's the worst, especially on 480. 480 and anywhere around the city of Cleveland, really. It's unbelievable.
480 is pretty bad, especially when they have poorly designed areas, like when you get on when you're getting on 480 and then they have that whole Grayton Road merge and people have to either get way over to the left to go to 480 or stay on the right to go to 71 and there's not enough room to really get over?
Oh, I agree. I'll tell you another place, too, is you didn't mention it, Columbus, Ohio. I tell you, some of the worst drivers, I don't know if it's just because of the, Ohio State and all the young people in the area there, but I mean, they all think it's a NASCAR race, right off the bumper, and accidents all the time. It's unbelievable.
And and I hate those cities like Columbus with the loop all the way around them.
Oh, I mean, where are these people going? You know what I mean? There's like a million of them.
Around in circles.
I think so.
I mean,
have a great night, Rick. I love your show.
All right, thanks, Eddie. I see people on a Sunday night. They're going down the highway and they're doing 75, 80, 85 mile an hour. Now, it's a Sunday night. I'm coming to work. I'm thinking, where are you going? What's the big hurry? Where are you going on a Sunday night that you have to do 80 mile an hour? And then get in front of me. And then slow down to 60. Oh, that drives me up a wall. Hey, look, you were doing just fine there before the big merge where other people merged in and like 480, 71 to 480, heading west. Now, you can easily merge right in there, and you're not getting in their way. No, they have to move over and get in my way. I should start taking down license plate numbers and reading them on the air. Have a moron award for who was the worst driver that you saw all week. Mine had to be that Buick Skylark doing 10 mile an hour in the third lane. Now, I hope the car was breaking down. That's why they were doing 10 miles an hour, not the driver's mind was breaking down. But if you're breaking down, don't you get out of that third lane and start heading for the berm, start heading over to the right and try and get over and get out of people's way? No, maybe you're just stupid. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we have more stupid people in Cleveland than they have other places. I highly doubt that. Shemp, talk to me.
Gilly, how are you?
Great.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been about 3 years since I lived in Lakewood. Now I'm out in the far west. But, you were so right on with this driving stuff because I come from Chicago, which is a place that no one from Cleveland ever visits. But, the driving habits here, it's always puzzled me since I moved here. And it is a daily amazement. It really is. Some things that come to mind, well, number one would be at an intersection when you have a green light and you're turning left. Well, it doesn't happen here, but what you should do if you're the first car is move into the center of the intersection.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. People sit there behind the light.
They sit there behind the light, and they're not going to make the light, and the person behind them isn't, and so it's going to go on and on and on, and until someone, leads the way.
Yeah, and you know what I like, too? How many times have you pull up to one of those, and you get an arrow to make a left, and the people on the other side of the intersection, they still have a red light.
Right.
But for some reason, they see you moving, they think it's time to move, too.
Yeah.
They pay no attention to the red light and come right through the intersection at you. And it's like, well, now, unless the light's malfunctioning, where's a cop when you need one?
Right. It's total chaos. Tickets should be issued for bad driving, not excessive speed, maybe, because I think that the bad driving part is killing more people than the speeding.
Well, there's something I noticed that there's one particular, see if you can guess, there's one particular make of car. I'll leave that open for anybody else to guess as well. Just my opinion. What particular make of car has more morons behind the wheel than anything else?
Well, I'm going to have to say SUV.
An SUV? Well, that wasn't what I had in mind, but when you hear it, you'll go, you know what?
Yeah.
You're kind of right there. I mean,
sure I will.
And these people never, I'll give you a clue, they hardly ever speed. Ever.
Oh, Cadillac.
No, only one guess per person, Shemp, but thanks for checking in from sunny Vermilion.
Well, I have other things.
Okay.
The tailgating thing on the highway.
Oh.
An open highway.
Yeah. With
no cars around you. Maybe it's that protection, envelope of, I'm doing 5 miles over and, I'm, I think I'll just stay right behind you. 10 feet behind you on an open highway with 3 wide lanes, like 480 or something like that. That's crazy because it really doesn't make any sense. If you're going to speed, you're going to take a little bit of, responsibility, I think, for what you do. If you get caught for speeding 5 miles over, well, that's that's the risk you take.
No.
Don't think that because you're tailgating someone on an open highway that, if I was a cop, I'd get the guy, tailgating the guy that's speeding.
I got you.
The more guilty party.
Yeah, I got you, yeah. I had this actually happen to me once. I was driving a 64 Fairlane, and I'm coming up from Columbus. And ahead of me is a black Mercedes-Benz, brand new, and it's doing about 85, maybe 90. So I'm driving this Fairlane with a 4-speed V8, I'm going right behind him. I figure, well, those little red lights up there above his sun visor or whatever. He's the Mercedes-Benz. He's got the radar detector. It should be fairly safe for me to follow right behind him, right? No, well, so a trooper sees us and flip-flops around in the median. And, I don't know how they don't twist those cars in half doing that, but he gets behind me and I slow down to 60 and 55. And he turns on the lights. And I thought, oh, poop. Crap. Here we go. Gonna get a ticket. Golly gumdrops. Yeah. Gosh. Darn it. Poopy stinkers. Here we go. I'm gonna get a ticket. And he goes around me and pulls over the Mercedes-Benz. Now, thank God that guy needed Trooper of the Year award. Go for the money. He probably knew we were both doing 85 or 90 mile an hour, right? I mean, if he had enough goods on the Mercedes to stop him, I was right behind the Mercedes. They probably had the goods on me too, right? But go for the guy with the money who can afford the ticket more than the little guy driving the 64 Fairlane, so gosh, gee willikers, and I was thrilled, see? How many more 50s adjectives can we use for drat? But at least, he went for the money, and I appreciated that. Is Bob?
Yeah.
Are you on a car phone?
Yes, sir.
No, hang up and drive. No, go ahead, please.
I got a real pet peeve with these idiots around Cleveland. I drive truck for a living, and they don't yield. Plus, I don't think they know what that little switch is on the left side of the steering wheel.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there should be a recall on all new Lexuses because I think they have a problem because their turn signals don't work.
Exactly. I mean, I've had more people just pull right out in front of me because, of course, nobody wants to be behind a big truck.
Yeah, I'm the guy that when you need to move over, and I know that the semi-truck needs to move over, I'll slow down and turn my headlights on and off.
I really appreciate that.
And I've had truckers always flash their lights back at me when I do that because I'm thinking, just not enough people. I don't see many people do that.
I don't. I saw one today. Okay, that's one out of about the past month.
Yeah, I learned that from a guy who drove over the road truck, and he says that's what you're supposed to do. The trucker's got to move over, be polite, maybe slow down a little bit, and flash your lights to let him know because he's got a long and canvas-covered load behind him there, and sometimes it's hard to judge whether the car is too close or too, what the distance is back there.
Exactly. Believe it or not, I've actually had people ask me why I can't stop on a dime with all those, tires I've got on this truck.
Because it weighs 80,000 pounds?
Well, they don't take that into a factor.
Oh. Well, I think that, again, goes into the stupidity of drivers. Triple Doppler forecast from TV3 meteorologist Betsy Kling. Tonight, some showers and clouds out there, low in the low 40s. Tomorrow, rain, upper 40s. Currently, 46 degrees, 46. Now, I watched Betsy on the TV. And she said it might be going up to close to 70 for Halloween, for later in the week. So that'll be a good thing, won't it? Roger Hedgecock Roger Hedgecock is filling in for Rush Limbaugh tomorrow. See, you take how's that work? You take the street you were born on. It was good producer Nate, do you know how that worked, how you come up with your porn name?
Take your middle name or your first pet, that's your first name, and the first street that you lived on would be your last name.
Well, what if you lived on a number street?
Then take the next one.
So my name would be, I'll just pick one of the many streets that I've lived on. And my first dog's name, my name would be Charky Lun. Is that a porn name, Charky Lun? I don't know. Anyway, you can listen for the EIB network weekdays from noon until 3 here on the Big One News Radio, WTAM 1108. What would your porn name be?
My middle name is David, and the first street I grew up in Mayfield Heights was Longwood.
Harumph. Harumph. Donna.
Yes.
Go ahead, please. It's your turn, darling.
Yeah, hi. A couple weeks ago, I was at work, and I was driving between 271 and 480, and we're driving along, and there isn't much traffic, and I'm doing about 65, and a car was doing like 90, came right up behind us, slams his brakes on, loses total control, almost sideswiped us, spinning out, literally head-on into a guardrail, and killed himself. Now, I mean, people are ridiculous.
I've witnessed people going down the road, and for no reason at all of a sudden the car turns sideways and slams right into the guardrail, or slams into the median. I'm thinking, what, did they fall asleep, or did they just crank the wheel, or were they suicidal, or did they hit a patch of oil, or did the tie rod break, or are they stupid, or...
Well, he came right up on me so fast and noticed it, and then just slammed his brakes on and spun out of control. And when he was spinning out of control, he was spinning ahead of us. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Donna. And Nate thinks I should ask everyone what their porn name should be. No, I don't know. I'm trying to stay focused on these idiot drivers that we have out there.
Why start now?
Why start now? Why begin to change the program to make it more focused than it normally is?
What are you doing?
You're ruining Seinfeld radio. No, I'm not. We're talking about nothing. Oh, I read the paper and I looked through, and there's people, pet food. People were getting the pet food taken away, recalled because dogs are dying. And although someone up here on the big board said that there was, Steve, you think there was too much coverage of Shakira Johnson?
Yeah, I do. And I think the media really has its hands tied because they cannot not cover it, or else they'll get the racial thing thrown at them. But
I don't think that's true. I mean, I think it was a story that and I don't mean to make this sound insensitive, but it grew legs. I mean, it was one of these things where it just got larger and larger, and then that Amber Alert thrown in, and you know what I mean? Then it got to the point where it was a big story.
It certainly was a tragedy, but I think it grew legs because it was a black child where the Amber Alert was not issued. There was a cloud of racial imbalance because there was a girl who was 14, and an Amber Alert came about, and she ended up spending the night at her boyfriend's or someplace that was unaccounted for. But it seemed like every day there was another Shakira Johnson article or story or byline or something, and frankly, I grew tired of it. It seemed like it had to be covered, or else Jesse Jackson would be here. We'd hear about the insensitivity of the white media.
Well, here's exactly what happened, though. Because when that Amber Alert was issued in Cleveland Heights, well, Mayor Lentz and the folks out there didn't exactly go by the rules. And one of the rules are there's supposed to be witnesses to a vehicle that was seen taking a child away or something like that. So they jumped the gun out there and issued an Amber Alert before it was necessary, which we don't want to. That's a good question, like our cyber vote. Can you look up? Hold on. Can you look up our cyber vote, Nate? Let me know what the Amber. Because the thing with the Amber Alert is you don't want it to be like the boy who cried wolf. Well, Cleveland never issues. I've talked to cops, and they said Cleveland never issues an Amber Alert.
Well, what I thought was interesting that was not getting coverage was the teenager that disappeared from her shift, I believe it was at Taco Bell on the near west side, 16 years old, and never came home from her evening shift. And this was back, I believe, early May, and yet I'm sure most people have either never heard of it or had forgotten about it. And it really runs parallel to the story of Shakira. But here is a 16-year-old female, a white female from the near west side, and it was not covered, and nobody drew a stink of it because, well, there would be no backlash. And here,
well, okay. I gotta go around. Why do you have to make it? Why does it have to be a racial issue? I mean, it's a horrible shame that a child is dead. It doesn't matter what color. And our cyber vote. 53% of you say no, Amber Alerts should not be issued for missing children. Well, and there's criteria to be met. You understand? And the criteria is not what color is the child. I mean, I think there are people out there that go out of their way to try and find something racially motivated, be it on either side, no matter what color they are. Oh, let's see, it had to do with race. It had to do with the rules of the Amber Alert, and one of them is that there's supposed to be a vehicle spotted. And if there is no vehicle spotted, well, children do run away, and they do spend time at their friend's house or their boyfriend's house, and it seems to me that there was no Amber Alert, but that first we heard about the story of Shakira was when the cops were going out of their way to go door to door to door in neighborhoods where there were known child molesters and that sort of thing. Predators. Right? Isn't that where we first heard about the story? I don't believe we just heard that she was missing and then it went on and on and on. When then we started hearing about them going door to door, I thought that was rather unprecedented by the Cleveland police. I thought it was a good idea, but I'd never heard of it before. But it was proper what the Cleveland police did by not issuing an Amber Alert. It was improper what the Cleveland Heights cops did by issuing it and not following all the guidelines. Does that make sense to you? Can you understand that? Of course you can. Pretty simple. More of your phone calls if you can get through, and good luck to you. Because all the lines are lit. After these important words, coverage of what in the world's happening, I'm Rick Gilmore, the thinking man's friend, and this is Cleveland's only news radio, baby. WTAM 1100, 100.
Rick Gilmore.
What? Stop. Who is it? That's my dog.
On News Radio WTAM 1100.
I really can't drive 55. I've tried doing 55.
One foot on the brake and one on the gas.
Yeah, I have to do 65. I've done 140. I've done 147. That's about as fast as how fast have you ever gone? We're talking about poor drivers in Cleveland. The Amber Alert came up. Is it being overused? That's a good story for you. Years ago, I was driving a cop car across the 480 bridge. I'm doing about 135, according to the speedo. And I look across the bridge, and I see, this was about 5 in the morning, I see a cop car, and he's doing 55. Now, I know back then that Fairview was driving Fords with that, what was it, a 255 V8. They bought it for fuel-saving reasons. So I knew I could blow by them, but all they have to do is get on the radio and call North Homestead and block the road or whatever. So I slam on the brakes. Dumb move. Blow one of the rear brake lines out. The metallic pads, I swear to you, were sparking. There were sparks coming out of the front wheels. And I took all the way across the bridge on the front brakes only to slow this big old pig boat Grand Fury down from whatever it was doing, 135 or 130 or whatever, down to 55. All the way across the bridge, and we were the only two people on the road. And I looked at him, and the cop looked at me, and he just shook his head and got off at Clegg Road. About 2 years later, I asked him, I said, why didn't you, he goes, well, he says, back then radar wasn't very accurate for a car coming up from behind you. I said, well, what did your radar say? He said, 122. I said, well, why didn't you pull me over? And he said, because you're 22 years old. And your reaction time is probably better than mine. And there was no one else on the road. You want to go out and kill yourself? Be my guest. I thought that was an interesting response. Fred, you're on the air.
Hi, Gilly. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Good. I have an issue that I'd like to bring up. I'm a disabled driver, or I should say I'm a driver who happens to be disabled. I have a parking permit, one of the blue and white permits that you hang from your
sure, the placard,
your mirror when you want to park somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that 95% of the disabled drivers in Cuyahoga County drive with that permit hanging from their rearview window, and the permit states you cannot drive with that permit hanging from the window. It creates a tremendous blind spot, and especially if you're turning a corner and there's a pedestrian in the walkway. I've seen so many close calls. Not only that, but these elderly people that are driving with this permit up are setting themselves up to be a victim of some predator or undesirable that wants to hit an easy mark. I don't want to advertise that I'm disabled, and I don't understand why so many of these people can't read their disabled permit and read that it says don't drive with this hanging from your window, and just put it next to them when they're driving.
Well, how many times have you went to, say, make a left turn onto a side street or something and accidentally pull right in front of somebody because your mirror itself can sometimes be in the way.
Exactly.
And that can be a hazard all on its own, and then you look at the person, and what do? They throw your hands up, I'm sorry, but you just didn't see them. And like you say, if you're hanging some big piece of cardboard from your mirror, that makes it even worse. So I did not know that. I was not aware that you were supposed to take that down.
Yeah, and it does create a very big blind spot. So to you disabled drivers out there, take these things down even for your own safety so people won't mark you as an easy target, even for that reason. I
was asking earlier, I said, there's a particular type of vehicle that at least I seem to have problems with maybe they're not poor drivers, maybe they're just perfect drivers.
Lexus.
Nope, not a Lexus.
No?
Nope, but...
Well, I thought I'd give it a shot.
All right, Fred. If it says speed limit 50, they're doing 45. Maybe I'm just bedeviled by people in this certain make of vehicle. It's been around for a long time. And for as long as I can recall, I've been bedeviled by people driving this particular type of vehicle. I don't know what it is. Ken, you're on the air.
Evening, Gilly. I got to thank you for saving me a little spewing time with the happy sad doctor. We rap about bad drivers a lot. Anyhow, I got some gripes.
Can you see? Are you on a cordless phone?
No, I'm on like a big, old-fashioned hold the phone.
Well, you sound better there. I was talking.
Sorry, I probably wasn't holding it correctly.
Yeah, talking that part with the little holes in it.
There you go.
All right.
Anyhow, you started to hit on something with the Lexus's turn signals not working. I think there's a definite correlation between the opulence of a driver's vehicle and their willingness to adhere to the rules of the road.
Yeah, perhaps it is. I've seen BMWs the same way, that maybe people feel that they're arrogant and they're above the law because they have money.
Out here in Chagrin Falls, Hunting Valley neighborhood, I can tell you it's definitely true. In fact, out here, the arrogance even goes to the point where they expect you to signal in a situation where you're not legally supposed to signal. On Route 87, which is South Woodland Road, as you come down the big hill and cross the Chagrin River, and the Route 87 doglegs to the left, and it actually turns into Old Kinsman. South Woodland becomes Old Kinsman Road at that point. It's right by the Metro Parks. You cross the river, kaboom. There's an old brick road called Falls Road that goes off towards Chagrin Falls. It's the road they refuse to repave, to keep the ambience of the bricks and all that. And all that. Anyhow, people that are going on in Falls Road almost sort of goes straight, if you look at the dog leg. But to turn onto Falls Road, you're supposed to put on your right-hand blinker. To continue on 87, you legally should just keep your blinker off and continue on the road and just follow the road you're on.
I know where you're going here. Okay.
And these idiots, these soccer moms in their minivans, and I think it's Honda Odyssey is the car that you're talking about. But anyhow, these idiot, arrogant, rich people, and women especially, and if you don't signal that you're turning left on a road that you shouldn't have to signal you're turning left, they pull out in front of you. Speed limit's 50 miles an hour there, or 40. I take it back, 40. And I can't tell you how many near collisions I've been in, and these arrogant, I can't even say the C word on the radio, women going, "You're supposed to signal," and you want to strangle them, you dumb woman. I can't.
Well, it was not a Honda Odyssey that was the particular type of vehicle I was thinking of, because maybe it's just that I'm bedeviled by this certain type of vehicle, but I have to tell you that there really is no worse driver on the road, really, than a soccer mom in a minivan with a cell phone attached to her.
There you go. I forgot that part of it. Also, the cell phones in general have made people stop signaling to change lanes, not realizing where they are, and doing horrendous things on the roads. I do think, that advent in technology has, lessened the importance of driving correctly and following the rules, traditional rules of the road.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Sheesh, tonight's a long-winded night, isn't it? We have to cut everybody off because they've got their own talk show going. Well, I got a lot of callers to get to. Apparently, a lot of people carcass. I think that was the word he was looking for. Carcass. Yeah, that was the word he was looking for. Okay. I mean, is it Cuyahoga County? Is it just Cuyahoga County? Is it just Cleveland? And Fort Lauderdale? I mean, Fort Lauderdale, four idiots. Terrible, terrible drivers down there. And not even just the old people. Everyone. In Fort Lauderdale, everyone is a bad driver. How about this one? How many times have you been driving down the highway and you see one of these Ace taxis or whatever? One of the minivans that's a taxi cab in the hammer lane doing 55 in what I consider the passing lane. Or at the very least, you should be doing 70. If you're not doing 70 in the hammer lane, if you're doing 70 in the hammer and you don't feel like moving over, and unless there's an ambulance or something coming up behind you, I don't think I'd feel too guilty. Because I feel that I'm playing traffic control. I feel you do not need to travel on any of the roads in Cleveland faster than 70 miles an hour. So I'll block up the hammer lane and do 70. Now, if I see something that, you see one of them crotch rockets, one of them race burners coming up behind you doing 130, I move over and get out of the way because I don't have time to stop and make a police report because I saw some guy on a donor cycle wipe out and lose a few parts and become just that, a donor. That's why they call them donor cycles. Tony,
Yes.
You're on the air.
I'd like to change the subject a little bit.
Yeah, I said it was open phones tonight.
And talk about Iraq. I just don't understand what people in this country expect when we go to war with another country.
Well, I think it was put best by an Iraqi tonight on the evening news, who said it wasn't like they came over here to liberate us, they came over here to occupy us. And they're very unhappy with that.
Well, I can understand them being unhappy with that, but in order to occupy, we had to go to war first. And it seems to me, not saying that the Iraqi people had anything to do with 9/11, but that's part of the reason why we're over there. At least that's what the government wants you to believe. They didn't pick and choose who they were going to kill. They just pretty much wiped out, basically 3,000 innocent people.
See, yeah, but, boy. I didn't get a chance to tell you last Sunday, did I? Because I had Mary Ann, the ghost lady, the paranormal investigator, on. That you should have looked at last Sunday. I don't know if you can you go to Plain Dealer and look at last Sunday's comics? Can you go? I don't know if you can do that or not. But if you could get a hold of last Sunday, and I have it hanging on my refrigerator, I should take it down and bring it in and read it to you sometime. It's got a huge picture of the radio host guy screaming, "There's no connection between 9/11 and Iraq whatsoever." And then it's got several other characters just parroting, I guess what would be considered the liberal viewpoint, that we shouldn't have gone there, and that it was not necessary. And frankly, I'm getting a little tired of telling you that. With 69% of Americans think that there was some correlation between 9/11 and Iraq, or some such thing it's said in the Doonesbury comic. If you can get a chance, if you haven't thrown it out yet, or whatever. Triple Doppler forecast from TV3 meteorologist Betsy Kling. Tonight, cloudy, showers, low 40s. Tomorrow, rain, upper 40s. Let's look ahead, shall we? Sure. Tuesday, it'll be like a pregnant dog. Some spotty rain. Upper 40s, currently 46 degrees in Cleveland. 46. Yeah, some scattered rain on Tuesday. I get so used to the Eileen McShay weather that I automatically go into Brog mode. Maybe Betsy's Irish too. I don't know. Who knows? Tonight's, wait a minute, keep that music up there. Tonight, cloudy and scattered showers. Low in the low 40s. Low in the low 40s. Tomorrow, rain likely, upper 40s. Currently 46 degrees in Cleveland, 46. You know why I only put 239 beans in me bean soup, don't you, lads and lassies? Because one more, it'd be 240. Pink, pink. Pink, pink.
Rick Gilmore.
The old thing was run, Jesse, run.
Yeah.
The new one is pull out, Jesse, pull out.
On News Radio WTAM 1100.
Hey, turn off the TV. Turn the sound down. Listen to Joe Tate, would you? Cavaliers open up the regular season Wednesday night in Sacramento. Tip-off at 10:30 on us, the home of the chosen one, your Cavaliers mothership. News Radio WTAM 1100. Little of this evening, little of that. Open phones, talking about crappy drivers, telling some driver stories. I have a particular vehicle that I was bedeviled tonight by a midget in one. This lady gets out of the car, and I thought, how does she reach the pedals? I mean, they must have, like, pedal extensions or hand controls or something. She was only about 3'8". I thought, how does she reach the pedals? And it's bad enough that she's 3'8" and driving, but on top of that, she was driving this particular vehicle from hell that bedevils me everywhere. And I was bedeviled by one last night. It was going down the highway, got the cruise control, set at good old 50 mile an hour. Moron. I don't care what lane you're in. 50 mile an hour is too slow, as far as I'm concerned. Get off the highway and take the surface streets. If you feel that 50 is all the faster you can go, and then the break, Nate was trying to call Channel 3 we want to find out if Betsy Kling's Irish so we can play the Irish music for her. We could just play the music just because, but... Well, no, I meant during the weather, Nate. Well, we could just play the music just because. I'm Scotch-Irish. Yeah, we had to use that maybe we had to use that once in a while. Well, I hate to overdo it. You know, Nate says he's Jewish and Irish?
The only one. Well, and my father.
You and your father are Jewish and you can't be the only Irish Jews.
Name another.
Sammy Davis Jr.? I don't know. Good question. Good question. Maybe one of the callers is Irish and Jewish. I don't know. You can't be the only one. David.
Hey, Guy. How's it going?
Great.
Something tells me that Sammy Davis Jr. was not Irish.
He was Jewish. He converted.
Yes.
He converted in 1960, I believe.
Well, I'm neither converted to anything nor Irish. But,
okay.
Appreciate the talks tonight. This is kind of a cool, just open line. Keep it real quick for you. Hey, the first thing that always bugs me is whenever traffic lights are out, people just barrel through them. 4-way stops.
Oh, well, yeah.
People just go nuts.
Well, I got T-boned once. I was driving an old cop car, and I was driving down Euclid Avenue.
Right.
And this guy, and I'm sure he was drunk, he has the flashing yellow coming off of East 18th, right? I have take that back. I have the flashing yellow. He has the flashing red. Traffic on Euclid keeps moving.
Right.
And I saw him coming, and I knew I could neither slam on the brakes nor get by him. So I just floored it because I thought I don't want to get hit in the driver's door. And he hit me in the rear wheel well and spun the car all the way around. A lady brought me the hubcap back from like 2 blocks away. The cops showed up and my ribs hurt so bad that one guy comes up and he goes, "You're hurt. You need to get in the ambulance and I'll make a report for you." And I said, "No, I'm really not hurt." I said, "My ribs hurt a little bit," but obviously he was just one of these ambulance chasing types that wanted to try and cash in on the accident.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I saw it. You're hurt." I said, no, I'm not hurt. Well, this guy that hit me gets out of a Buick Regal, and the front end is destroyed. The thing's laying on the ground, leaking every fluid possible and steaming. And a cop shows up, and I guess in Cleveland, if they don't see, they don't cite. But this guy's a white shirt, so he's a lieutenant or something. He shows up pretty quickly, too. Well, this guy got out and was screaming at me. He's screaming at me that it was my fault. And I said, I had the yellow light. I was kind of in shock a little bit. I got hit really hard. I got hit about 35, 40 mile an hour. And I says, I had the yellow light. Your light was red. Well, I wasn't really in the mood to argue. I just wanted to go home. At this point, I just wanted to get this evening behind me. And it was also about 2:35 in the morning. So I assumed that this guy might have been drinking a little bit.
Would have been Tom Coyne.
I don't know about that, sir. I'm going to run. No, it was some great big guy. And then he starts yelling at the cop. And the cop goes, "You had the red light. It was flashing red for you. That means you're supposed to stop." Now, I don't know whether the guy ever got a ticket or not, but his insurance company bought me another car. So, better than nothing. More of your phone calls, more of the program. I'm Rick Gilmore, the thinking man's friend. You'll listen to these important words and coverage of what in the world's happening on Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
The following material may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
I like that. The one caller that said a couple weeks ago, yeah, look at Rush Limbaugh. He stole the Pretenders theme song. Does this mean that I stole the Wallflowers theme song? We could drive it home with one headlight. Or no turn signals. How appropriate. Talking about poor driving is one of the topics this evening.
The Rick Gilmore Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
Now, someone emailed me at Gilly, Gilly, at WTAM.com and said they could not get through because all the lines were lit. And all the lines were lit, but there's a couple open now at 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code. I also opened up 578-1111 since I'm not giving anything away tonight. And a toll-free, 888-723-WTAM. Can't get through on the lines here in Sheffield, actually all over Lorraine County. The drivers are extremely aggressive. They tailgate, they bully. They're in such a rush. I've been cussed out because I slowed down to turn onto a side street. These ignoramuses seem to want you to turn 90 degrees at the speed limit. I swear their motto is, just stay out of my way. Another one says, pickup trucks and minivans, the vote for rotten drivers. I was bedeviled by a particular type of vehicle. No one has guessed it yet. And it's open lines this evening. The Amber Alert came up. Should that be issued? Our cyber vote at WTAM.com. Should the Amber Alert be issued all the time for a missing child? 53% of you say no. Telling some poor driver stories of my own. In fact, tonight, I was coming in, and a guy blew around me and cut me off, and I thought I should hit you just on general principle. I should just write the name of my car backwards on your rear bumper. Just on the grounds of general principle. Just call me General Principle, or Rick Gilmore, Media Darling. Jake, you're on the air.
Hey, General, how are you tonight?
Good. Actually, my name is General Lee Gassy.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, it is. What's better than Captain Crampy?
You know, these cell phones really are a bad thing. I see people driving with them all the time. I was driving the other day, and, you know, I drive one of the big delivery trucks for Giant Eagle, and, you know, I'm driving down the road. I'm talking to another talk show host and drinking my big orange drink and trying to open my moon pie.
Wait a minute.
And this lady cuts me off.
Well, wait a minute. You call other talk show hosts?
Well, I was just calling to tell them they were wrong and not as good as Rick Gilmore.
Oh, all right. Well, so you had your moon pie, your big orange, and your cell phone, and someone cut you off.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, these people just can't drive. If knowledge and virtue are diffused among the people, this will be their great sovereignty. But since we don't want to diffuse any knowledge or virtue, I think it's two things. I think it's all lack of driving ability, and it's also just being ignorant. You know, the people, like you said, it's an overtaking lane. It's a passing lane. I just come across the turnpike, and there's these signs. I don't know if they're illegible to other people or not, but it says slow traffic, keep right. It just is, sometimes it doesn't get through to people, I guess.
Some people pay no attention to things like that.
Right. You said kind of a slow news day, and I thought the big story for me was the Walmart story. Yay, more illegal aliens.
Well, you're not a big Walmart fan, are you?
I'm not a Walmart fan at all, sir.
You don't shop at Walmart because they have products from China, non-union labor, and they're bringing people in from Mexico, and
it doesn't stop there. It's you know, and if you read any of the stories, you heard that they were also cited in 1997 and 2001.
Yeah, Walmart's a problem, you know, and I heard people on other talk radio programs bring it up and then say, but I'm still going to shop there because I like their products. And I thought, well,
products from China.
Well, I guess they like Chinese products. They, you know, they probably.
If they had Chinese food, that would be cool.
Well, the problem is that people just look at the buck, the bottom line. That's all they're interested in.
Well, once again, if knowledge and virtue are diffused among the people. But anyways, yeah, their issue in 97 and 2001 was illegal aliens from Mexico. And I thought it funny that it was a big story now because they were Eastern European immigrants, yet before, when it was the Mexican illegal aliens, they didn't make a big deal about it. And I thought that was kind of funny. And what they're also doing in Alabama is trying to use eminent domain. I know it's a good thing for every community, no matter how big or small, to get land taken over to put in a Walmart.
You know, and with the whole issue of the mom and pops and all that.
Well, like I said, it's not one issue. It's not the China. It's everything. It's everything we're doing to this country, and it's just bothersome. And like you said, people will continue to shop there, and people will also continue to drive in the wrong lane.
Do you have any idea what type of vehicle it is that I'm bedeviled by on it seems like a weekly basis? And it's not like a blanket, you know, it's not like SUV. You know, it's a particular make of car. These people drive, if it's 60, they're driving 50.
Wow. And I would go with Cadillac, but that's just that bias against old people, I suppose.
Now, I'll give a hint away, since there's only, how many minutes, 45 minutes left in the program. Think college professor.
Volvo.
Pardon?
Volvo.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I am bedeviled. There was a midget in a Volvo tonight.
Midget.
Yeah, and she made a right turn from the left lane into a gas station. She sat at a green light, and I try not to honk the horn, but I sat and thought, I'm on my way to work here. I don't know where the midget's going, but I'm on my way to work. I didn't know she was a midget until she got out of the car, and I thought, how does she drive?
Was there a circus in town?
I don't know. It was a Volvo station wagon. And it's like, that makes it even worse. Bad enough it's a Volvo. Now it's a Volvo station wagon.
And I kind of like them ones, them cross-country ones. I think they're pretty cool looking. I don't...
Oh, no, this is always the big old square ones.
Well, yeah, that might be a problem. You might be right with the college professor thing. He bought it back in '86, and, he likes it, whatever.
Well, the midget likes hers, I guess.
He likes that jacket he wears, too, but... the people saying in Florida you get a lot of, these old people, blah, 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 when it's the moron kids that I have more of a problem with. That they're on their cell phone, they're on their whatever, doing whatever they're not supposed to do. And the killer is, here comes the cop, and I'm like, oh, boy, this is going to be great. I get to actually see him get pulled over. And the cop gets over in the right-hand lane and passes him.
You know what's funny?
Hello?
You know what's funny?
What's that?
We just got a call. It says the circus is in town this week.
Well, see? Now, the good thing is that they don't have to work at Walmart's anymore. They can work at the circus as some kind of freak, and they get paid better wages, obviously. They're driving a Volvo, not a Hyundai.
You're breaking up on me, but thanks for checking in. Now, just because you work in the circus doesn't mean you're some kind of a freak. Now, if you're a circus geek, you're a freak. You know what circus geeks do, don't you? They bite the heads off of chickens. I don't think we have those anymore. Well, maybe there's something to do. Maybe I'll go to the circus this week. How's that sound? You know what? You're right, the circus is in town. Because I remember the billboards seeing up there. I always drive along and look at all the billboards to see if they say Clear Channel on the bottom. And then see what's on them. So maybe the lady was in the circus. I don't know. She had Ohio tags. But I got to tell you, it was... What's this? This guy wants to know. Terry, you want to know what bars are good?
Yeah, absolutely.
To pick up chicks?
Absolutely.
Well, I was supposed to go... What night was it? Saturday night. Out to Uncle Vic's in Elyria. And this is not a free plug or anything. I was supposed to judge a costume contest. And I did not go. But I was told that there were about 700 and some people would show up for Halloween out there because it was a $1,500 costume contest. And I look for the bars with if you can get the lesbian love on the dance floor, if you get the chicks dancing together, that's probably a darn fine bar. And I was told that place was good for that.
Yeah, baby.
So, but I don't know in particular if any bar is any better than the other. Maybe it depends. Do you have 3 eyes or something?
Well, I don't get around very often, but I mean the Flats. I've heard about if there's a special place in the Flats. I know you go to Tremont quite a bit, and
there's some hot chicks in bars in Tremont on the weekend, but normally I bail out on the weekend because there's valet parking and it takes up all the parking spots. And you get all the people, we call them tourists, and they come in from the suburbs. I don't like going to the Flats. The Flats is not what it used to be.
You're right.
You could try Spy Bar on West 6th.
Oh, Spy Bar?
Yeah, you could try some of the bars down there in the Warehouse District.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Maybe Circo Zibibo, someplace like that. There's hot chicks down there.
Cool.
There you go. You mentioned Tremont, you mentioned the Flats. Well, what's in between the two? Try the Warehouse District and see how you do. Pardon, Nate?
Does he dance?
Do you dance?
Not too well. Well, see, I don't drink either. That's the only thing.
Maybe I should be giving you the names of good church groups that you can meet, or go to the library or the grocery store and try picking up chicks there.
Okay.
I mean, I've been told that sometimes that's the best place if you want to pick up Marian material, ain't at a bar.
Okay. I just want the one crazy thing, and that's...
Oh, I see. How old are you?
36.
I'm hanging up now. And he's calling me to ask how he can get some action.
I picked the wrong week. Quit sniffing glue.
Do we have something else to do here besides take another call? Because I'm just like out of sorts from the triple Doppler forecast from TV3 meteorologist Betsy Kling. Tonight, scattered showers, low 40s. Tomorrow, rain, upper 40s. Currently, 45 degrees in Cleveland, 45. Tomorrow, in for Rush Limbaugh, Roger Hedgecock. Listen to the EIB Network weekdays from noon until 3. Pre-triv here on the big one, News Radio, WTAM 1100. 36. Maybe you could join the priesthood. Maybe at this point, it's meaningless whether you ever have sex again or not. He sounded fat, didn't he? Didn't he have that kind of fat guy voice? Or maybe gay. I don't think so. I don't think he was gay. But he sounded kind of like the fat guy voice. Yeah, these fat guys, they sound like they're 18. They're not 18. They're just, I don't know. What happens to fat? Does some fat people, does it like take over their vocal cords, or do they get fatty vocal cords? And then they're talking, Rick, where do I go to pick up hot chicks? Well, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but you can pick up a chick in any bar if you're charming and witty and all that sort of thing. Or if you're a media darling and you're not a bad driver. Michael, you're on the air.
Hi, Billy. I got that gentleman beat by almost 2 decades.
Oh, you're 55 and you're not getting any action.
That's right.
Well, maybe you should join the priesthood. They need some good priests.
Yeah, I thought about when I was in grade school, but I changed my mind.
Okay. What's on your mind?
About is this for real? They got this imported dog food from Canada, killing dogs out there in California.
Well, the story says a Canadian company issued a pet food recall. Several dogs died in California. More than a dozen others became sick. Pet Curian Pet Nutrition recalling all of its Go natural. Sounds like I don't think I'd want to buy a brand of food for my dog named Go. I mean, the dog spends a lot of time in the house alone. I don't think I want to feed it something called Go. But anyway,
the long way before.
I want to buy
horses for food.
I want to buy a brand of dog food called Hold It In.
Hold it in, huh?
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Big trouble if you had a big dog and you will have to go, Gilly.
14 dogs and cats in California fell ill. 7 of them died. Go is touted of advertising its top-notch product for dogs and cats. Boasts one of the highest meat content. Spokesperson said the company is looking for a particular batch produced at a new Texas plant responsible. Products sold in San Francisco, San Diego, Sacramento, Seattle, and Denver.
You know what?
Go, get out of Denver, baby, go, get out of Denver, baby, go. Never mind.
They win.
Well, I guess they will go.
I mean, they win. I mean, they win.
Yeah, so I'm going too. How's that for a nice segue from one call to another? Dean, you're on the air.
How you doing, Rick?
Just splendiferous.
You know, the thing I hate the most probably is the highway where they're in the right-hand lane when you're trying to get on the on-ramp and they don't plan on getting off. There's several lanes they can choose, but they just want to drive down the right-hand lane, so you have to brake or speed up.
Well, and I mean, I try to be polite and move over if I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, why not?
If I'm in a bad mood, it's something else altogether, because that sign there says yield, and that's for them. That means that if they have to stop, they have to stop.
Yeah, right.
And I get people that they think that literally, I have this especially taking 480 West, and they're getting on at Grayton Road. And that whole Grayton area over there is just bad. And these people insist, I mean, they're coming on the road. That's their right to be on that highway, and yield means nothing to them. And I could ride right next to them and make them slam on the brakes or have them hit me. I get the impression these people would just as soon hit you because they think it's their right to, and you're in their way.
Yeah, well, if you're not getting off anytime soon, it'd be nice if they'd move over. But I ran into one particular situation that was outlandish. I'm getting on Route 8 South in Cuyahoga Falls on a Sunday evening. Sun's still up. It's nice and bright summertime. And there's someone just filled with the grace and glory of the Lord in front of me in a Ford Fairmont. It's a 4-cylinder, big, weak car, no muscle, beat up piece of junk, won't go 70 miles an hour if it was falling off a cliff. And this guy's got a totally out-of-date suit on, and he's got the goofy haircut, and he's just totally passive and religious to the max. He's riding along in front of me in the right-hand lane.
How do you know he's passive and religious?
Well, I'll tell you in a second.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting on the highway, and I can't get over. It's extremely crowded for some reason. I'm stuck in the right-hand lane. Just for a minute, I've just gotten on, but he's in front of me. So right up ahead of us, there's another on-ramp. 2 on-ramps in a row. Now, I still can't get over. I'm looking to get over. And there's 2 couples in the car with me, my girlfriend and a couple in the back seat. And we're driving along this right-hand lane. I'm waiting to get over. And this unbelievably passive, gentle soul in front of me sees these people coming up the on-ramp. And he comes to a stop on the highway and starts waving people onto the highway.
Dear God.
I swear to God, I slammed on my brakes, luckily, because when he said, hey, look what the hell you're doing, I'm looking to get over, into the center lane. I slammed on the brakes, and behind him, I swear to God, I can't believe I have a vein in one piece in my head. I almost blew a hole right through the roof of my car. I threw my car door open. I ran up to him, and he wasn't even looking. He was looking up ahead. And I must have a really loud voice. I screamed as loud as I could, what the hell do you think you're doing, you goofy moron? And he jumped up and hit his head on the ceiling of his car. And, oh, my God, I wanted to rip him to shreds. He looked at me shaking. And what happened? What did I do? Don't ever do that kind of idiotic favor on the highway, you moron. You get on the highway and you go as fast as this piece of trash will carry you. And, oh, my God, that was the worst thing I ever saw. He came to a stop on the highway and was waving people on.
I charge for this type of psychiatric advice,
I appreciate it so much, MD.
You're, of course, going to have to come back next Sunday also. We'll have to do this on a regular basis.
Yeah, I try to show up every Sunday.
Well, I'm glad that you vented, but it sounds to me like that moron should not even be on the road.
Oh, he should have been in... Hopefully he's in hell now.
Well... H-E double hockey sticks. Well, heck. I mean, clearly somebody like that, I would take down a license plate, and I would call the cops, and I would say, do you know what this guy did? Do you know that this guy he stopped on the highway to, come on in. That's like the story about the farmer. You love little stories, don't you? And the farmer's got this old hay truck and doesn't barely go 40 miles an hour, and he's coming down the on-ramp, and he just plows right into a car. And then the cops come, and they said, well, didn't you see that sign? It says yield. And he says, I yield and yield all I could. Nobody to listen. And something like that. You know me, I've been known to spout irritating platitudes more than Hazel the maid on speed. That's just the way it works sometimes. Who's on line 1? It just says comments on bars in Cleveland.
Mike.
It doesn't say Mike.
Well, I just told you.
Good producer, Nate. Well, it should say Mike.
It says it.
Not here it doesn't. It says dash comment on bars in Cleveland. Mike, you've been reduced to a dash.
All right, I'm a dash. I'm a cab driver in the city for 24 years. I heard you talking to that one guy. This mayor that we have in this city has ruined our city. We're down to one restaurant now on the east side of the flats. I'm having people from all over the country, and I'm telling you firsthand, they are in shock that after 9 o'clock at night they can't find a place to eat unless they want to spend $30. Our city is turning into a ghost town. You were talking about picking up girls? You got to be kidding me. I'm telling you right now, it is just you can ask any bartender, cab driver, valet driver. We're all starving. Now, as far as the suburbs, I'm sure they're doing all right maybe, but I know you were never a fan of Mayor White.
But my God, Mayor White was like, he was like God to us compared to this clown that's in office.
Well, you know, I've mentioned that on the air, that I said I never thought that I would say it, but that I would prefer Mayor White. But now you also have to factor in that the economy is in the toilet.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're right.
I mean, you know, somebody told me, and you're talking about like the Watermark closed over there on the.
Come on.
Now I know somebody who works right near there, and he said you would be amazed. He said for forever, for a long time. He says, you know, you would. He says I'd go out for lunch and I'd look inside the Watermark, and he says not a soul in there. He says it's no wonder. He says the rents in the flat are like $5,000 a month. He says, you know, it's any wonder that they stayed open as long as they did, because he says there was just no customers.
You know what? Here's the thing. Now, I'm telling you firsthand. In the 80s and the 90s, I was making $50,000 a year driving a cab. I'm not kidding you. I've been making, if I'm lucky, I'm making $50 a night now. Now, a lot of it has to do also with Mayor Campbell. You know, I don't want to sound racist because the black drivers are, but this Somalian garbage that they're moving into the city now, oh my God. These guys have taken over the airport. They pull out. You got to see what's going on. It's beyond belief. And
hold that. Can you hold that thought, would you? Can you hang on?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I got to ask him about how does he know they're Somalian? I don't know. I'm just curious. More of your phone calls after these important words and coverage of what in the world's happening. I'm Rick Gilmore, the thinking man's friend, and this is Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
Rick Gilmore.
I have never cheated on a woman ever. Ever.
On News Radio WTAM 1100.
Well, I held Archie Bunker through the news. Mike, you were complaining about cab drivers. You drive a cab for a living, and you see when somebody makes a statement when they say, "I don't want to sound racist, but," I think you kind of sounded. I think you kind of sounded racist.
All right, I was in the Marine Corps in the late 70s, early 80s. If you remember, the Somalian people dragged our Marines through the streets. I was there.
Yes.
They were prized trophies. Now they're in the city. They basically threw them out. I don't know if you saw the article, but they threw them out of Milwaukee. They actually voted 2 months ago in the Boston area to not allow the Somalian people in the city. I'm not kidding you. This made the USA Today. It made Paul Harvey and everything.
Right.
And it's not about that. It's about that the people are here. They're all like on green cards. They're not citizens. They're taking away the jobs.
Are
and
these?
I think this call to me could sound like I'm anti-Somalian, but I am.
Well, let me put it to you this way then. What you're saying, are these the guys that I see driving the minivan at 55 in the fast lane?
Yes, the gold cabs that you'll never see them downtown, right?
I know what you're talking about, because I wonder, I don't know where the people come from, but I thought that they are foreign-looking, and I thought, well, geez, maybe they think they're driving on the wrong side of the road.
Exactly. And, well, here's another thing. You know, you get a guy from the Renaissance Hotel. Now, this happens all the time. They get in the cab. They want to go down to the West 6th. It's a $3 cab ride. They're charging the people $30. The people get out of the cabs, go to an American cab. This happens all the time. They've deregulated the taxi business. If you go downtown now, it's a complete... You've got so many different people, like valet, you've got chauffeur, you know, all these limo companies and everything. In the 80s, we had something like 9 registered limo companies in the city of Cleveland. We are now at like 90. So why do I have to get a hack license? I mean, why don't I just get my own car, drive around? Everything's deregulated, and it's against the people's safety. I mean, you got to remember, when you're a cab driver, you got to get a hack license. They go background checks, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, let's get a Somalian. Where are you going to get a background check on from somebody in Somalia? Okay,
well, they ran them out of Milwaukee, and now they're here. Maybe we have to...
they're in Columbus. Now, the reason I heard this is Mayor Campbell, remember, if you go over 500,000 in population, you got that federal money. Well, she promised all these people, especially, this is an underground thing, but she promised all these Somalian people jobs. We are now probably in the neighborhood of 10,000 in the city, and we're going to be going close to 30,000. And, you know, you can ask black drivers, white drivers, we want to actually take baseball bats. We have no other recourse.
So,
I mean, they're just taking money out of our pocket, and they're burying... People don't want to get in cabs anymore because you're going with people that know where they're going.
So you're putting forth the notion that Ladybug Jane Campbell, the queen of the flying hubcap, is parachuting Somalians into the city to try and pump up the population so that we can get Fed money.
basically, if you want to put it like that, is sort of similar to what you're saying. You may make it sound like a joke, but that is they're coming from underground. It's like when you're in your house and there's cockroaches coming through. This is the same thing that's happening here. And I am anti-Somalian because they were killing Marines and laughing when we were over there trying to protect them. And that makes me livid that 18 years later now, they're here taking my job. All right, and I'll tell you what, you can ask anybody in your audience, when they're at Hopkins Airport coming back home, 90% of the time, they will get a Somalian driver now. No American drivers play the airport anymore. You mark my word, we don't go out there anymore. We can't go out there because they're in line hundreds. There's 100 cabs right now on a Sunday night sitting in line right now at this moment. And you know how long it takes us 3 hours. And then a person wants to go to Berea or something, and then the driver gets mad because it's an $8 ride. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. So my only recourse now is maybe to move to Mayberry, where I have a better shot at driving a cab. A little bit more money.
There you go. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, move to Mount Airy. Wow. Sounds to me as if you're probably the kind of a guy who should be looking for a different job. If you're only making $50 a night driving cab nowadays. I thought they did better than that, but maybe not. I mean, where is there to go? I don't know as if people are generally taking cabs from, say, the suburbs to the warehouse district and then taking a cab home. I know a lot of people drive because for the price of a cab ride, there and back, you can afford to park your car downtown. Somebody mentioned the flats. I'm not going to tell you how bad the flats are. It's blighted. You want to know what blighted is? Get on the flats. I was down there on a Wednesday night. I was at a bar. There were 4 people in it. 4 people in the whole bar. The upstairs of the bar was closed. The parking lot down there, you know, the one with the Yiddo stand, with the Yiddo truck that's always sitting there? Well, the Yiddo stand was closed. Parking normally on the weekends, $10 in that lot, $3. $3. I pull up, and you're not going to believe this. The guard comes up and takes my $3. There's 3 cars in the lot. Now, I don't know how big the lot is, but it's probably, a couple 100 foot deep. He goes, park in the back. I said, what? Park in the back against the fence. What, he's expecting a crowd? I was down there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I left. There were maybe 5 cars in the lot. And I thought, I could have parked right up in front and I wouldn't have had to walk all the way, Park in the back. The only thing I saw when I came out was there was a local news channel there filming, and the bar across the street, there were probably 150 rice burner crotch rockets lined up. And there's people going up and down the street doing wheelies. Now, I don't know if it ever made the news or not. I know I've seen stories on the local news about people doing that on the highway. But the only reason that there was any activity down there was that all these guys were hanging out at the bar across the street, and they're all on motorcycles, and I don't think they're drinking. At least not very much, or they'd be dead when they'd ride home. Then I thought, well, okay, so the bar is full of people, but if they're all drinking water, that ain't going to do you a whole lot of good, is it? Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Trevisano.
Well, you got me right in the middle of a mouthful.
Well, what's new? You do that on the air.
I know.
Somebody said that to me. Jim from Window 4, I think he knows you. He works out at Thistledown.
I eat to live.
Do you know Jim from Window 4?
I live to eat, I mean.
Do you know him?
Yeah.
Okay, because he said he knows you, and so anyway, I just thought I'd ask you sometime, and this was the first chance I got. But that's not why you called.
Older guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of heavy set with glasses and a real deep voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call him Window 4.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Used to own a bar years ago.
You know why Cleveland's a ghost town?
You tell me, because there's a lot of people wondering.
230 liquor license.
You mean if we had the 4 o'clock version like other cities?
Any city that's happened,
right?
People just start going out at midnight. You go to, I happened to go a couple years ago to South Beach. I took my wife. I just wanted to see what South Beach was all about because I hear about all the athletes going there and everything, right?
Sure.
I'm not lying to you. We talked, so because I'm in the business, of radio, and, you like to be inquisitive and find out what's going on in other cities, right?
Sure.
I did a lot of talking down there. people do not start going out till 1 o'clock at night. The clubs down there don't get packed until about 1 in the morning. And then it's an overflow because then the restaurants stay open and everybody's out of there at 4:30 and they go have breakfast. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's just, it's just one thing after another. I was told by a sharp guy in this town a long time ago, okay, that somebody, whoever somebody is always wanted to keep Cleveland a small city. We had a chance to be a huge airline hub years ago, and we didn't, okay? For some reason, I don't know what it is and who it is and why, okay? I've never been able to figure that out, but downtown, you're right, downtown is dead, buried, gone.
I think the Greek Isle closed down there in the warehouse district, too.
Even the places around, if the Cavaliers wouldn't have drafted